Okay, so thank you very much to everybody for joining this pre-course session. Just housekeeping information, I remind you that after this we will have another industry-sponsored symposium in this room and one in the room Trissino, which is just across the hall. And then we will have the opening ceremony with the assignation of the International Vicenza Award and some presentation of the course, including the Best Abstract Award. As my friend John Kellum has said, we are living in a very interesting era, especially because it seems that people have started to understand the importance of acute kidney disease. Why am I using this term? Because it seems that now we have an entire spectrum of pathological conditions that may really start from an increased susceptibility of the kidney to potential damage in case of being exposed to some risk factors. And then we move into a condition that has been recently defined as kidney stress. We don't know yet whether or not this kidney stress is a true damage or is a condition that precedes the damage. However, I think that by identifying these patients, we now recognize that just waiting for an increase in serum creatinine is probably not wise nor correct to define the entire spectrum of acute kidney disease. And of course, once creatinine increases, we can identify patients with kidney dysfunction, but at that point, the history of this syndrome may evolve into different trajectories, including rapid recovery, including partial recovery, or apparently complete recovery. Why am I saying that? Because you may lose up to 50% of the nephrons before creatinine rise, and you may start to evolve into the so-called slippery slope of the chronic kidney disease. So identifying mechanisms of maladaptive repair or incomplete recovery may help us to better understand why this patient may evolve in the future in chronic kidney disease or in high-risk categories in which even small exposure may actually lead to acute kidney injury. What is the key factor that has allowed us to better understand this condition is certainly the discovery and validation of new biomarkers. I think that these biomarkers have allowed us now to clearly distinguish between injury and dysfunction, to say that these two conditions may possibly coexist, or simply they may occur one before the other, or even they can occur in an isolated manner. Nevertheless, this is part of the acute kidney disease spectrum, and I think that the next talks will probably help us to better understand what's going on and better understand what is the contribution of these new biomarkers that actually may become a true signature at the molecular level of what is occurring to the kidney cells, to the tubular cells, to the kidney in general. Possibly these biomarkers will help us to understand better recovery or repair. We need to explore all these different new avenues. But one of the most important issues today is to convince people, not only from nephrology and intensive care, because we are already convinced, but from cardiology, cardiac surgery, other areas and disciplines of medicine, that AKI is dangerous, increase the cost for the healthcare system, and decrease survival of patients in the short, middle, and long term. With this brief introduction, I think that you have probably understood that we are interested in elucidating not only the mechanism, but also the entire history of patients that receive insults to the kidney and evolve into different levels of acute kidney injury. I think that the importance of increasing alertness and awareness on this subject is the key for introducing the true multidisciplinary approach to patients that see in the kidney injury dysfunction one of the major risks for their life, present and future. So with this, I would like to give the floor to my friend John Kellum, who will transform what I told you like a fairy tale into a more scientific background. And you will see that probably throughout the entire course, this theme of identifying patients at risk, describing AKI in different forms and so on, will be a kind of fil rouge that will permeate the entire program of this Congress. Once again, thank you very much for joining us. John, please.